Hello friends, this is Peter Bain, co-founder of ForexMentor.com, and welcome to this special presentation. To keep the legal beagles happy, this is the usual disclaimer. Of course, I'm in the middle. The left is Lennox Chambers, who's the star attraction for this presentation. He is an excellent trader. He's the creator of the system that we're going to talk about today. And over to the right is George Pitcher, who has been a Forex Mentor member since 2008. He is a trader. He's a programmer. He has done all of the programming behind the various tools that we'll be talking about today. So what's going on here? Last year, I attended a seminar here in Victoria, beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, where it's sunny and warm today. And as I usually do, I usually go from table to table in these seminars so I can meet different people. There was one person in particular who caught my attention who raised his hand during the presentation. And I thought, well, at some point I'm going to go over and meet this person to find out what he's all about. And on the last day of the seminar, I did end up sitting at his table. During the course of our discussion, it became clear that he was trading options. I mentioned that I was trading the Forex. I mentioned the profit potential for the Forex. He seemed intrigued, invited me over to his place to explain Forex to him. I did so, spent a delightful evening at his place. Of course, I couldn't explain everything in one evening. I didn't talk about which broker to use. I didn't talk about stops. I didn't talk about too much else other than just the basics of the system. I didn't tell them how many lots to trade. I didn't tell them whether to trade micros, minis, or standard lots. And when the evening was over, I figured, well, I don't know where this is going from here. We'll just see what happens. Lo and behold, within a very short period of time, Lennox let me know that he had already opened a live account at a broker, which it wasn't really a good broker, but at least he opened an account somewhere with $5,000. And in short order, he ramped that up to $30,000. As a matter of fact, that was within a month. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Now you've got my attention. I mentioned this to my business partner, who immediately came over to meet Lennox. Through the course of the discussion, at some point, we threw out a challenge to Lennox, and we said, look, we'll give you some money. We'll put in $5,000 each. You put in $5,000 for a total of $15,000, and let's see if you can double that. Well, he did. Within short order, he ramped it up to not double, but he ramped $15,000 up to $28,000 and gave us our money back. So at that point, we figured, Vic and I figured, we have to show the system to our members because it is very much unlike anything that we have seen before, and we thought that our membership would really like what they see. So that's the background to the system. I use the system. George uses the system. I especially like the calculator that comes with the system because I use it not only for the Forex, but I also use it for stocks and ETFs. You can use his calculator for anything that moves. And you can trade it, use it for options, whatever you're trading. But we're here to talk about the Forex. But before I turn the microphone over to Lennox, I thought I'd show you some of Lennox's trades over the last 12 months. This is since we got together last year. You can see a sampling of his trades over the past 12 months, going from August 30th of last year to July 18th of this year. You can see lots of green ink, not very much red ink. Yes, he does lose money, but not very often, as you can see. The one proviso here is Lennox trades 10 standard lots at a time in his account. Now, we're not suggesting for 1 minute that you trade 10 standard lots, but you can if you wish. You may wish to start off trading micros, minis, working your way up to standard lots. Now, you'd have to ask, well, why did Lennox start trading 10 standard lots? I mean, that's very unusual. People don't do that. Well, the one thing I forgot to tell Lennox when we met at his place was how many lots to trade with. I don't know why we didn't get into it, but we didn't get into it. And when Lennox opened his live account, I'm not even sure he opened a demo account. But when he opened his live account, he figured, well, I have to trade something. 10 sounds like a nice round number, and I guess I'll go with standard lots. He didn't know any better, and away he went. And $30,000 later, he was off and running, excited as can be. So those are his results. Now I'm going to show you some real trade examples. These aren't fake, phony, dreamt up examples for this presentation. These are real trades that he has executed. Here we're talking about 4 pairs. You can see at the bottom of your screen the details for the 4 pairs. The net effect was using his system, which revolves around a particular pattern. You can see over here to the left where I'm moving my arrow. He looks for a specific pattern to enter a trade, and his calculator tells him how far price is going to go once he enters the trade. He's going to get into that. I don't want to get into it now. I just wanted to show you these 4 trades that netted him $15,000, $15,714. That's not too shabby at all. And that was recently, I believe it was last week. Again, the details are at the bottom of your screen. The chart that I'm showing right now happens to be the 1-hour chart for the NZD CAD. That was one of the 4 pairs that he traded that netted him the amount that you can see on the screen. Lennox will shortly show you how he trades and how he figures out what the profit potential is. And like I said before, I use his calculator for my trading, and a team of wild donkeys couldn't pull that calculator away from me because I use it religiously. I just love it. Now here's another example of Lennox's trading. He did 3 entries on the GBP/USD. You can see the details of those trades at the bottom of your screen. The net effect was that he made $1,791. And again, I'm not going to get into the details of how he executed his trades. He's going to get into this. This happens to be a short situation that he saw using the pattern that he looks for, and he'll get into how he determines profit potential, where to get in, where to get out, where to place the stop or stops, and so on. So without further ado, Lennox, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Hi, everyone. Perhaps you could just go to the next slide, Peter. I think that's the one that gives us an overview of what the auto wave calculator does and displays on the screen. It automatically picks out the 1, 2, 3 formation that we're looking for, and that's basically all this simple 1, 2, 3 is about. We're looking for a 1, 2, 3 top or bottom on a chart, and once we find that, we enter the calculator to give us our targets. Now, the whole premise of the wave calculator and the 1, 2, 3 system, I've been trading for over 20 years in the markets, primarily in the stock world of options trading. And when Peter talked about why I went with 10, usually when I was trading options, that was a round number for the number of contracts that I would put on. So if I saw an opportunity to buy 10 contracts of Apple stock options, then I would jump in and do that. So that's why when I went to Forex, I thought, okay, 10 lots sounds good. And it wasn't until later on when Peter told me that 10 was very unusual and that nobody really does that I realized, okay. So in any case, I'm now using one lot for the MyFXBook account, and that one we didn't show any of the details of that in some of those numbers that you saw earlier, but just suffice it to say that it's been an interesting battle with the MyFXBook account. I I actually blew the account out, trying some different strategies. Had to get back to the basics of the 123 system in order to recoup the losses. I did so within a few days. Got all the I blew the account of about 5,000, and I got the 5,000 back within a few days. So just to show you that there's no panic. There's no need for panic when you lose. If you are well versed in the system and know what to look for, you can make good profits. And we'll show you later that a lot of the members that we have in our Skype lounge that come every evening, every day, are doing well with the system. It's a simple concept, but like anyone will tell you, and most of our members and our team here will attest to, it's yes, a simple concept, but it's in reality making it into a tradable, consistent system is not as easy. The main thrust of the system is we're looking for a 1-2-3 formation, and I'll get into how that all works. The beauty of the system is its simplicity, and this particular pattern that we're looking for occurs on every turn in the markets, and that's you'll understand that once you see when I show you. It's just again a matter of identifying the ones that are the best setup for in a particular time frame. So basically, on this particular chart, we have the auto WaveCalc, which is automatically programmed to find the 1-2-3s for our members. It automatically puts in the 1-2-3 and then paints the target points, which are in green and gold and blue, and it's basically telling us that you can exit your trade in any of these band areas, and it's just an area. You can specify one of the numbers if you wish, or you can go to in between the numbers, that type of thing, and it all depends on your trading and your risk tolerance and so forth, and how aggressive you want to be and so forth. Because as on this particular chart, we were at the first just touching the blue area. However, there are more targets below, and so price can still go lower, and you can go depending on, again, on your risk tolerance. If you felt that you wanted to get out at this point, you could, or you could stay in the trade and add to your positions even, and so forth. Okay, so let me know when you can see me there, Peter, George.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, so I'm on a chart that I've marked up with all kinds of stuff here, but basically on a clean chart, and I guess I could go a clean chart, but in any case, okay, so on this chart, New Zealand Swiss pair, I'm on the daily time frame, and in a nutshell, again, basically the system is looking for 1-2-3 bottoms and tops. So what I usually do as I teach all the members is we start from the monthly time frame, and the reason we start from the monthly time frame is just to get an idea of the overall picture of the chart. It's like a coastline of a country. You're up in an airplane and you're looking at the coastline. You can see the overall detail, but when you come in on the next time frame, you're getting more details. So we look at the overall to give us an idea of what the overall direction of the trend of the pair in this case is doing. So this is the monthly. It's showing that we're in a sort of a channel. We're in a downtrend at this moment in time, and then we want to come to the weekly, and that shows you that yes, we are in some kind of a channel. I put the lines in to indicate a channel, and we are in a downtrend in that channel. So then we drop down to the daily time frame, and again you can see that we're in a downtrend overall, and we've reached the bottom of the channel, and we're now bouncing off the bottom of the channel and moving to the upside. So on the 4-hour time frame, we again see that we have reached the low of that channel, the bottom of the channel, and we've bounced off, and we are now again trying to push out from the lows and moving up on the chart. So if I drop down to the 1 hour time frame, and this is the time frame that most of the members trade on. So we are looking again for a particular pattern on this time frame, and that pattern is evident on, even from the daily time frame, it is evident. So on the daily time frame, the pattern is there. We're looking for a 1, 2, 3 bottom, and this is there. The Auto WaveCalc automatically points it up for us, and we can use that, or you can manually enter the 1, 2, 3 yourself. In this case here, I've manually entered the 1, 2, 3. It's given me targets to the first resistance area on the chart, and so we're looking for price to push up into this area here. On the 4 hour time frame, if I come down, we see this is the overall 1, 2, 3 pattern from the daily time frame, but there are other 1, 2, 3 patterns that are forming, and so I've manually put in the 1, 2, 3 here, and it's given me targets to this area and higher targets to here. So again, we're going to the first resistance area, and that's where price is heading at this moment. And then if I drop down to the 1 hour time frame, again, it gives us 1, 2, 3 bottom here, and then price targets to this area, which is again at the resistance area, and then additional targets, which is already reached and is heading even higher as we speak into the next. These are the resistance areas, and so that's exactly what it's doing. It's just pushing along and going up to those targets. So we can automatically put these the 1, 2, 3 on, and then it tells us where we can get out. So if you are not sure about your the trade, and you feel that, okay, I've made 20, 25 pips or so, and you want to get out, you can do that at that point. If you feel you want to go a little more and you want to take 27 pips, you can do that. You can go a little higher and take 40 pips, go a little higher and take 48 pips, go even higher and take 60 pips. That's the kind of thing you can do, and that's only on the 1 hour time frame. If you did it on the 4 hour time frame, of course, the pip count is going to increase dramatically. So here we have 60 pips to that target, 70 pips to that target, almost 100 pips here, and so on. So that's the kind of power that you have depending on which time frame you're trading. So again, a lot of the members are taught to look for 1, 2, 3 setups primarily on the 1 hour time frame, and the reason for that is because you can get in and out of positions in quick time without having to wait for days and weeks. You can trade from the 4 hour time frame, of course, and that's a little more patience. It takes a little more patience to get to your target, but you make a few more pips by being a bit more patient. So that's basically the system, and there's a lot to it in the sense of entries and stops and so forth, but that's for another time. All right, so let me, Peter, you can go ahead again.
Thanks, Lennox, for an exciting presentation as usual. I get goosebumps every time I see you talking about your system. And now I'm going to turn the presentation over to George Pitcher, who as I said before, has been a member of Forex Mentor since 2008. He is an excellent programmer as well as Lennox. So without further ado, George, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Peter. Since the inception of the simple 1, 2, 3 system, we've added many features. If you look at this chart of features, we've done one new feature every month except for November. I guess I had too much turkey and went to sleep. But anyway, what we have added to the standalone wave calculator is we have manual email alerts that had come out. We have the wave calculator was added to MT4. We now have alerts going out on 24/7, and you can customize your alerts to the time frames that you trade, the hours that you'd like to see, etc. We have an excellent addition has been the weekly playbook, which comes out at the beginning of every week. And this highlights highly probable trades that may be unfolding in the current week. It has been a real great starting point. Now, one of the biggest benefits that we've added is the trading lounge. And this has been a super, super place. We now have well over a half a dozen experienced traders on the S123 system. And they just knock out pip after pip each day. The beauty of it is that they talk about trades at the time that they're entering the trade, sometimes before the trades are being entered, they'll talk about it, saying, here's what we're looking for, keep your eyes open. This way, we have a lot of people keeping their eyes on, all 28 pairs, sometimes a few more pairs than that. And they review the trades as they move along, et cetera, and it's really been astounding some of the results that these people are getting. And new people coming in find it extremely helpful because they can ask questions and get very good answers. Now, we've since introduced a currency strength indicator that the members can use, and this can be used on the 1 hour, 4 hour, daily charts, and it tells you based upon the strength and weakness of currencies, it tells you the top 4 in each time frame. Now, we've since introduced with the currency strength meter, we've integrated it into email alerts. So it'll send out email alerts if you wish to see them based upon the currency strength meter. And finally, this month, we've added a news indicator. This has got a lot of options to it, but basically you can just use the red news indicator, and it'll tell you 30 minutes before the news event occurs. It'll send out an alarm to you so that if you're in a trade, you can assess your position to see if you want to stay the course or get out of the trade. It'll also tell you if you sit on an item, it'll tell you when that news is coming out, how many minutes away it is, etc. It's really a nice addition, and I especially like it because it keeps me aware of things that are coming up that I might have forgotten to look at. And as with everything, we're constantly looking at new things to add to the service to help our members get more out of the system. Okay, the next slide, please. Yeah, we've highlighted here our coursework. We have a starter video course which goes over everything. We recap many trades. There's probably hundreds of trades to recap in there, so you can really see how the 123 system works. We go over the wave calculator, of course, and we have, as I say, weekly playbooks, and you can go back on past weeks and review them, etc. We have scanning and trading webinars to go over and help people see how to properly use the system, etc. And the trade alerts come out on a regular, as we say, 24/7 basis. So you are always on top of alerts of new things that are popping up. And as I say, the big thing has been the Skype room. When you get in your membership, that's probably one of the first things you want to do is get in the Skype room and start chatting with the people in there. They are a fantastic help. And of course, we have email support so that we've covered all bases. Okay, now I want to give you some testimonials from people. Gregory has said that Lennox has developed the most powerful Forex indicator he has ever seen. And yes, it is a beautiful thing. And you are helping so many people. And many people in the room have said that. Alex has gotten up to 300 pips over 4 trades all in a day. The method is just fantastic. Now, many of these people post their trades. I know Brian has done a lot of coaching himself in the room, and he's even tried unusual things like USD ZAR for the first time. And he shorted USD CAD, and he's gotten all kinds of pips out of these trades. So people are getting trying all kinds of things. Georgette has introduced the room to the peso, and that is done extremely well. And Georgette really likes the system. She formerly was trading mainly on the 15-minute systems, but we've convinced her to move up to the higher time frames, and she likes it a heck of a lot because she doesn't have to stare at her charts quite as often now, and she gets more pips per day out of the trades. And Cameron has found that it's been a proven system with the 123 system, and he's developed to the point where he has no fear of it and just goes ahead and you see a setup and you run with it.
Okay, Lennox and George, thank you very much for excellent presentations. It now becomes a question of how do you in the audience benefit from Lennox's system? How do you learn from somebody like Lennox, who makes the majority of his income from his own trading using the S123 system that he developed? And of course, with the S123 system, you get the wave calculator. And not only that, you get the auto wave calculator that George programmed, you get the alerts, you get the news indicator, and so on. So a wealth of opportunities here. The offer is $99 for the first month and $99 per month thereafter. This is down from $199 to start with. An attractive option to that is the 6-month prepay, where you pay $497 for 6 months. That's 28% off of the regular price. Now, the first 7 signups are going to have the added privilege of attending a private Skype session with Lennox and the rest of the S123 team during market hours. This is going to give you a chance to work with Lennox in real time during market hours to see how he thinks. What does he look for? Where does he enter a trade? Where does he put a stop? Where does he get out of a trade? And you'll be able to ask him any question that comes to mind during this session. This is for the first 7 people to sign up.
And not just me alone, Peter. Don't forget.
Lennox and George.
And yourself.
And sometimes myself will be there. And of course, you can ask any questions that you want. No such thing as a stupid question. This is an incredible offer, again, for the first 7 people to sign up for this. Now, just to remind you that this isn't fluff, these are real trade results over the past 12 months for Lennox. Again, trading 10 standard lots. Lots of green ink, very little red ink. And this covers the space of August 30th of last year to July 18th of this year. These are real trades. This isn't fluff. If you're looking for a complicated system, I hate to disappoint you. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a simple approach to trading the Forex using Lennox's S123 system and his great calculator. Now, we are not cut and run artists. We do not promote things to you and then go golfing. We're here to support you all the way through your learning experience, however we have to do that. I'm going to let George entertain questions. Are there any questions, George, that you haven't already answered?
I've been able to answer all the questions so far. If you have any questions for Lennox or myself, please just type them into the chat box and we will answer them. Okay, we got a couple questions that came in. Thank you. Matthew asks, what pattern is 123? And David asks, what makes this system different than simply trading a 123 pattern? And Frank asks, what is the 123 system and why does it work? And finally, does Wave Calculator work on MT5? I can answer that. No, we have not written it for MT5 yet. But the manual calculator that Linux first developed will allow you to trade on any platform, including MT5.
George, what about these?
The first question?
Yeah, the first question.
You want to answer the questions? What pattern is 123? Matthew is asking.
Well, as I pointed out in the demo there, it's basically a pattern that occurs at every turn, every swing point on a chart. Doesn't matter what time frame it is, whether it's 1 minute or monthly. That pattern is a repeating pattern. Yeah, maybe to show that Auto WaveCalc one, Peter. The Auto WaveCalc one, number 13. Yeah. It's at every turn in the market there is a 1, 2, 3. So it's just a matter of determining whether it is a viable one to trade. And we have set it up so that we give you some other confirmation using the EMAs and MACD to help you discern the best pattern to trade. So the 1, 2, 3 is the Elliott wave, wave 1 and wave 2. That's basically what it is. So we're trading the Elliott wave 3 to the target, to wave 3 targets, and you can either exit at that point or wait out the wave 4 and continue on into the wave 5, or just re-enter again for the wave 5, which also forms a 1, 2, 3, and then a wave 3 again. So that's the basics of it.
Now, Dave Schultz, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, asked a very good question. We at Forex Mentor had known about 1, 2, 3 patterns prior to Lennox coming along. However, the big difference here is it's not just a matter of identifying the 1, 2, 3 pattern. It's a matter of, okay, how do you trade the 1, 2, 3 pattern, and what is your profit potential? The thing I like about the Wave Calculator is it tells you where to get off the train. In other words, once you're in a trade based on the 1, 2, 3 setup, it tells you where to get out of the trade, either, well, at the various levels shown on the screen here. So yeah, you may have known about 1, 2, 3s before, but the big difference here is a trader wants to know, where do I get into a trade and where do I get out of a trade? And that's accomplished by Lennox's system and his calculator.
There's another thing on this chart that is on your screen right now. Let me see, who was it that, oh, Frank has asked, is this related to a head and shoulders pattern? Well, you do have a head and shoulders pattern on here, and it would actually give you one of the targets that is showing on the Auto Wave Calculator. So yeah, there's many different patterns that are subsets that you will find are used in this system, that the targets come out automatically on many different wave patterns. The wave calculator using Fibonacci numbers. Yes, there's Fibonacci numbers involved in this.
Something else to say here before I forget, George, I didn't mean to interrupt, is getting back to what is a 1, 2, 3 and how to trade it and so on and so forth, is one of the things that Lennox teaches you is where to place your stops, because you not only want to know where to get into a trade, you want to know where to get out of a trade, you also want to know where to place your stop, and that's something that Lennox puts a lot of emphasis on. So you're going to learn that with the system. And of course, that's talked about extensively in the chat room. I can't stress enough that once you become a member, you get into the chat room and you have access not only to George, Lennox, and myself, but you also have access to all of the S123 members who are talking it up, trading, showing you their trades, helping you with your trades. So trading is a very lonely business. So by joining up with this service, you get to get into the chat room and work with people just like you who are either just learning or trying to improve their trading skills. So I think that's an important feature of the system.
Does the system work better during certain trading sessions? It works on all trading sessions, all time frames. Of course, some trading sessions tend to be have more volatility than other trading sessions, but the system still identifies the 1, 2, 3 patterns.
Rick just joined. Can't wait to get started.
Frank would like to know something about the calculator. He's uncomfortable with it being a black box. I think.
Well, there isn't much to the calculator really. It's just a simple calculator that basically tells you, gives us our targets, and it is based on Elliott wave and Fibonacci movements, in essence, Fibonacci calculations and so forth. So it's given us, once we enter, we just have to, in the actual manual calculator, you enter 2 points on the calculator, which is a Windows-based, which is also a web-based now calculator. And on the MT4 platform, you enter 3 numbers. You enter 1, 2, and 3, and it then gives you the Fibonacci targets, in essence. So that's basically what it does.
David is asking, does it work on all time frames?
It works on any time frame.
Lennox has even recorded videos on 5-minute charts.
Yeah, it works on 1 minute, 5 minute, whatever time frame you because the 1, 2, 3 pattern occurs on every time frame.
Question from Linda, thank you. Can this be used as a scalping tool?
Yes, you can. You can certainly trade off the 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute. You know, it all depends. Some people have said that even trading off the 1 hour is scalping. So, I mean, I'm trading off the 1 hour using 10 lots and I get 40 pips, you know, $4,000. I guess that could be considered as scalping for some. But yeah, you can definitely do that.
I think that also answers David Schlutz's question. If not, David, please let us know. Looks like
we teach to basically to trade from 1 hour or 4 hour mainly. That's it takes a little bit more patience and you get a little bit more pips out of your trades, and that's the main reason why we do that. But once you get comfortable with the system, you can definitely jump up to the daily charts and so on. All right, so I'm just going to show my screen again. So I'm back on the New Zealand Swiss. So the one of the questions was, why does this differ from any other 1, 2, 3 or whatever, something like to that effect? How is it different from 1, 2, 3? Well, on any chart in any time frame, there are going to be 1, 2, 3. So it's just a matter of, okay, you know, yeah, there are 1, 2, 3s everywhere, but which 1, 2, 3 do you want to trade? And this is what differentiates our system from anything else that's out there. We are picking off the 1, 2, 3s that are going to be relevant for you to make profits. And a lot of the members have finally starting to see the 1, 2, 3s, and it is are finding it very, very profitable. It is something that takes a little bit of time for you to see them, but once you start to see them and understand the setups, then it becomes a lot clearer for you.
Lennox, a question from Frank. Maybe you can just explain, if you're using the manual calculator, what points do you put into the calculator to get the exit points?
The manual one on the MT4 or the manual one?
Well, the manual version of Wave Calculator, what points do you put into it to get to your targets?
Like the one you use, for example? Is that what
Yeah,
you
the one I use, yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, then you would basically put your, say we identified this 1, 2, 3 bottom here. So we would just put our cursor over, in this case on the MT4, we put our cursor over that bar. It tells us what the low point of that bar is. And that, in this case, the numbers are showing up right down here. So or sometimes we will get a bubble that tells us, and it's not giving me the bubble. So in this case, it's, we'll put the low end of 0.67234 into the wave calculator, and then we'll find the highest point, the highest bar, and that would be that one, and telling me the high would be 0.67447. So that's what I would put into the calculator, those 2 points, and it will give me the target points. And it's just as simple as that, just 2 points that we need. And for the manual calculator on here, I just press the wave calculator button. See how my screen's moving, number 2, and then my number 3 point. Okay, so that's basically what I do, and it gives me the targets. It gives me my risk to reward, which is a good one in this case, 2.8. Anything over 2 would be good, so you want a 2-to-1 risk reward. And it gives me my targets. I can either get out of this target or I can continue going to the next targets, and you can see the price is still going up, and it's pointing to the previous resistance areas, which is one of the keys to the system as well. Knowing where the previous resistance and support areas are, that really helps a lot in identifying where the 1, 2, 3 is, and so on. And then we also use the MACD as kind of confirmation of the 1, 2, 3, and we use the 5 and 21 EMAs as confirmation of the 1, 2, 3 as well. And we also throw in the I've got a moving average 200, which you don't necessarily have to have, and the 55 EMA as well, which is also an added optionable EMA that you can put on the screen as well. Basically, we use just these two. So if I were to do a template with just a clean template, for instance, this is what we have, and there really you don't really need any of those indicators. We're just looking for 1, 2, 3s, and as you can see, there's a 1, 2, 3 here, there's a 1, 2, 3 here, and so without anything on the screen, you can find the 1, 2, 3s. And again, with the manual, we would just use the low point of that bar, the high point of this bar. You put it into the calculator, you get your targets. And with the manual wave calculator, which is still here, I can do the same thing. I can just go like that and find my 1, 2, 3s. And basically, we're looking for the 1, 2, 3s at the turn of a swing point on the chart. So at a major swing point, that's the key element of it. We want to find a 1, 2, 3. So that's basically how that works. So you really don't need all the indicators and all that. You can use a clean chart. Once you get familiar with it, you can do that. But it's a good thing to have the indicators for confirmation. So that's what a clean chart would look like. And if I shrank it back down to normal, so that's what it would look like. Clean. So I just use an auto. So that's basically what it looks like. Okay, so is there any specific pair that anyone is looking at currently that they would like me to look at, or any other questions at this point?
Yeah, again, don't be bashful, folks. We're about to conclude this webinar, so this is your last chance to. GBP USD is David Schlutz.
GBP USD?
Yeah.
Okay, so GBP USD, this is on the, I'm on the daily time frame currently. So one of the things what I normally do is we start from the monthly time frame. This is just an exercise that's a quick way to just get a gauge as to what's going on with a particular chart. So overall, we can see that we're in a downtrend. So in essence, we should be looking for 1, 2, 3 tops mainly, and especially now that we're going in sort of a sideways kind of move here on the monthly. So it looks like its prices should be coming down more at this point. So on the weekly time frame, we can see that this movement up has come to an end. We're touching our 200 EMA, and now we're starting to move to the downside. We've broken the channel below, so this is telling us that price should continue down. I put these lines, again, these lines are just for helpful, just kind of show me what the current pattern is going to do. This 1, 2, 3 bottom, for instance, is going to continue going up. So I know that once this line is broken, that this will continue to going up and it will reach my targets, and so that I can use. And even though this is a counter trend trade, I know that because the overall trend is down, but you can trade it if you are confident in, especially on what time frame you're on. So on the daily time frame, we come down and we see that this movement down is at this point here, but breaking that low channel that I had, the lower channel that I had. So we should be expecting prices to continue to go down. Now, this concurrent bounce at this point looks more like a fake bounce, and probably pulling a lot of people in to go long when really this is probably going to turn around and continue falling. So let's take a look at a little closer on the 4-hour time frame and see what's setting up. So on the 4-hour, you can see how lots of choppiness in here. So here is a large 1, 2, 3 top. This was already pointed out by the Auto WaveCalc. So this whole thing here is a large 1, 2, 3 top, and then we've moved to this low point. But now it's bounced back up again. So what it's basically doing is it's bouncing back up. But I think this is going to not break this area, and I would look for a 1, 2, 3 top at this point to continue this trend going back down. So this is how it's looking at this point. I could definitely be totally incorrect, and it could continue and push above. So the key for us, we don't just jump into just because we see something like this. We wait for confirmation of the 1, 2, 3, and so if it is going to turn around, we'll get another 1, 2, 3 top at this point here on the chart to continue this trend going down. If it's not going to turn around, then we didn't have a 1, 2, 3 at this point on this time frame. Anyways, this is actually a 1, 2, 3 bar, but it's not showing you that on this time frame. It is on a lower time frame. So at this point here, this move could, because of the strength of it, could push up, and that would be if it breaks these points here. So that's a very straightforward way to look at it. So at this point here on the 4-hour, there isn't anything to trade. You'd have to wait for the confirmation of a 1, 2, 3. So on the 1-hour, we can see how nicely this move has occurred. So there's the 1, 2, 3 bottom, and again, I could just touch the wave calculator to enter the actual target points for that move, like that, and the low, and that gives me the first set of targets to that area here, and then the additional targets moving up. So that's telling me that here's our previous resistance area. So we'd be looking for price to probably just come into this area here, and we can see that we have, in Elliott wave terms, we have 1 wave, 2 waves, the 3rd wave, the 4th wave, and we're now in the 5th and final wave. So this is telling me that this is going to run out of steam in this area at or near the previous support or resistance area, and we'd be looking for a 1, 2, 3 top, similar to here. This is a 1, 2, 3 bottom, but we're looking for 1, 2, 3 top like that to form and continue this trend going to the downside. And the other thing that we look at is the MACD. And the MACD tells us also what the chart is basically doing overall. And right now it of course is moving up, but we could see this turnover and continue back down, similar to right here.
Lennox, you have another question.
Okay.
Review NZD USD, the Kiwi USD.
Okay, NZD. So for myself, I've been battling the NZD pairs. I've been trying to hone in on the NZD pairs to kind of figure out what's going on with them, and it's been quite a battle, I tell you. I'm starting to kind of get the pattern overall, and so maybe now I can make some profits again with it. On this one, I'm on the daily time frame. Again, I always start off the monthly time frame just to get an overall. I'm in a channel right now. I've drawn the channel. We've gone up, we've gone down, up and down. So the next expectancy is to go back up, and we have a hammer bar there. So on the weekly, that hammer bar on the monthly should tell us that there's a 1, 2, 3 there on the lower time frame. So on the weekly, you can see that it's forming. MACD is not doing anything for us at this point, so there's nothing there. But we were in a downtrend, and it's bouncing off the lower channel. So we're looking for this to continue to bounce back up. So on the daily time frame, so there again we're in a downtrend, and it's looking to bounce. We're getting a cross on the EMAs, which is a good sign. MACD has crossed down here, and that's a good sign as well for us. So we have a 1, 2, 3 bottom overall, which is giving us targets to the first set of the resistance area, and then additional targets higher. So again, we'd be looking for, if we were playing this from the daily, you'd be looking for entries in this area here. Of course, it's already moved out of that area. And the key thing is to try to get in between the number 2 and number 3 points when you enter your numbers. So we don't enter from the daily. We drop down to the 4-hour or the 1-hour time frame to enter a trade like this. So on the 4-hour, we have a huge 1, 2, 3, as you can see. In Elliott Wave, this would be 1, A, B, and C. And then we have a new 1, 2, 3 here. That's another 1, 2, 3 bottom that I've calculated here, giving us targets to this area. So we are pushing up in this move. It could be a counter trend because the overall trend is down. But in this case, we should be safe making it to at least this target area and perhaps even higher. So a nice 1, 2, 3 bottom is formed here. MACD is above its zero line and is moving up, so that's a good sign there. And if we drop down to the 1-hour time frame, then you can see this whole thing playing out. So there's the first 1, 2, 3. So if we were playing this even from the daily time frame, what we would do, we would come and enter down here. And what that does is we would see a specific candle setup from the daily time frame. We would then come down to the hourly time frame, and we would look to enter in this area on the chart between the number 2 and number 3 points. And ideal entry is using in this case, because we're going up and we have a 1, 2, 3 bottom, we'd look to enter with a buy limit order. And we would know by entering the wave calculator where to enter that trade. So for example, I'd enter the 1, 2, 3 like this. And at this point in the chart, we might just have this red bar, and we would know that, okay, we have a retracement of this 1 and 2 to come back down, say 62%. So we could put an order in for a buy limit order for the 62% area. 0.6732 would be our buy limit, and then we'd place our stop below the low point. And that would give us less risk in case that price continued down, because price can go all the way back down and break this low. As long as price doesn't break that low, then we have a valid 1, 2, 3. We have a golden cross, which is the EMA's crossing. We have MACD cross. So everything is set up for a nice move, and then we can enter the trade and then play it out on the higher time frame, the 4-hour to daily. So that's the best way of entering the trade at this point. Instead of going if you're playing off the daily, instead of trying to enter up here, where of course if you entered at the cross on the daily, your stop would be huge and cause you a lot of headaches when if it moved against you. You cause you big losses if it moved against you. So it's ideal to enter from the lower time frame. So that's one of the basic tenets of the 1, 2, 3 system.
Okay, it looks like we have run out of questions. Thanks, Lennox, for an excellent presentation.
So Peter, for that question for the person asking about the New Zealand USD pair, yep. For us we'd be a little late getting onto this trade because it's already broken above the number 2 point. Right. There's still pips there to be made, of course, right. to that, any of these targets here. However, right. we prefer to get on in and around the golden cross area, and that way you get maximum pips.
Right. Okay, thank you folks for joining us today. That concludes this webinar. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you soon in the Trading Lounge. Lennox, thanks for a great presentation, and George, thanks for your participation. On that note, friends, this is Peter Bain, co-founder of ForexMinute.com, concluding this webinar, and bye for now.